Hi friends, this is Carmen. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My channel is all about succulents and cacti, my balcony garden, and lots of houseplants in an apartment setting. But today we're talking about succulents and cacti. I have a lot of messages from people saying, I don't know where to start with cacti or succulents. I only have foliage plants, I just don't know where to start. So I am going to be sharing with you what I believe are the 10 best succulent and cacti plants to start off with as a beginner, or even as someone that already has some. I think these are wonderful to have in your collection. So stay tuned and we'll get to it. Okay, so before we get started, I do want to let you know that I will try and find these online and link them down below in the description box. I do have a discount code for Mountain Crest Gardens where I've gotten a lot of succulents and some cacti, and I can definitely vouch for them as far as quality and efficiency of shipping. So if you want that discount code, make sure you stick around and I'll get that to you. So let's get started. I think you may have seen this one before. This is the Haworthia Limifolia. And this one, well, all of these are out in my balcony. And this one here is also known as the fairy washboard because they have that little rough texture, almost like a little washboard. I've had this since it was just one clump, this one right here, and it's grown all of these pups around it. I do need to repot this in the springtime because it's been in this pot since I got it, and that's been about 3 years. As you can see, it's not a super fast grower, so it's perfect for a small spot. Haworthias are great for having indoors if you have a sunny window or you have a grow light that you can put them under. They're great for having indoors because they can take medium to higher indirect light. But this one probably is, I do believe I did get this one from Mountain Crest. But I'll leave a link below to where I can find it. Some of my plants I've also gotten from Planet Desert. They have a wonderful, really extensive collection, or selection rather, of cacti, rare cacti, succulents, things like that. Now the next one, in the same type of pot, is this tiny, tiny little Mammillaria, and it's called a Thimble cactus, because it's so tiny and delicate. And delicate it is because these little arms will break off easily. But don't worry, because if they break off, just pop them right back into the soil. This is wonderful for propagating and regrowing just by popping the arms right back in to the pot. And I have another one outside that's growing quite a bit too, but this one is on my shelf out on the balcony. And it just, doesn't get a whole lot of light, so you can kind of see it's reaching a little bit, but it's still growing. It's a little bit dormant right now because of the winter time, but this is such a cute little Mammillaria, and it's great for little fairy gardens too because it's compact and can kind of fit into small spaces. Again, can be kept inside near a bright indirect light. Don't really like a whole lot of direct light or sunlight because they can burn. But the Thimble cactus, which I love the name, is a wonderful little Mammillaria to have. Now another Haworthia is this Zebra Haworthia. This is a wonderful, you can see why it's called Zebra because of the white stripes on it. But this one here grows very well inside or out. As I said, Haworthias are great for indoors or outdoors. And it's not a super fast grower either, but again, for small spaces, that's perfect too. If you, like me, have an apartment setting or a balcony, this fits perfectly. And this one was actually sent to me by a subscriber, so thank you to her. And that is the Haworthia Zebra. Now, all of these, you'll notice that the soil has a lot of perlite in it, some pumice. It's very chunky soil. I am going to be, I've mentioned to you this before, I am going to be repotting a lot of my cacti and succulents into a newer cacti and succulent mix that I'm using now, Tank's Green Stuff, succulent and cacti mix. But if you, and I'll leave a link to that below, but if you're not able to get that, you can always use the standard succulent and cacti mix from Espoma or Miracle Grow, but I would definitely add either some perlite or some pumice to make it even chunkier, and maybe even a little bit of orchid bark in there too to kind of help with the draining, because one thing about all of these succulents and cacti that I'm going to show you today is that they love free draining soil. They don't like to be sitting in soggy soil for very long, and they like that water to drain through and hold just enough moisture for the roots to get their nourishment, but they don't like to sit in wet soil. So make sure that you always have that free draining soil. Now this one here, moving on from Haworthias, this is a Gasteria. This is Gasteria Little Warty. And I have a couple of these. This one is the one that is outside. I have one inside right here in the plant room that's growing well also. And look how many pups this one has given off. The one that I have in the plant room is from this plant, 2 pups that I've separated. And Gasterias, like Haworthias, are great for having inside because they don't like direct sunlight. They will burn, which has happened to me with the other one that I have inside. I brought it inside because of the sun damage it had. But this one is sitting on a shelf on my balcony where it does not get direct sun, but gets plenty of bright light. It's in free draining soil in this terracotta pot. And look, I mean, just all the pups that it's given off is wonderful. Now, the leaves will die off, the lower ones, so sometimes these can be a little bit harder to get leaves out of, the dead dry ones. I use a little tweezer to pull those out, and the reason that I do that is because, one, it just aesthetically it looks better when it doesn't have the dry dead leaves below, but dry dead leaves is also a nice place for little bugs to accumulate and hang out, and mealybugs, spider mites, things like that that the plant can be susceptible to. You don't want to give them the space to hang out there. So I always make sure and clean my plants up, my succulents and cacti, with any dead leaves, any dead foliage on there, and make sure and I get that out. So this is the Gasteria Little Warty. Wonderful little plant, nice and compact, great and profuse grower. Next one, we're going back to Mammillarias, and this is Mammillaria Elongata Copper King. And I love this one not only because of all the little pups it has, but the orange copper color it has. Now, you know, cactus and succulents can give off wonderful blooms too, but sometimes it's just wonderful to have a cactus that has wonderful coloring and shading to it without a bloom, and you can enjoy it year round. And I think that's why I love this Copper King so much. And look at all the pups it's giving off. It's doing great in this terracotta pot. Now this one is in the Tank's Green Stuff soil, and I water this right now in the summertime, probably about once every 3 to 4 weeks. If it rains, even less. I wait for that to, you know, that rainwater to let it dry out completely is how I let them go before I water them again. I can feel it by the weight. This is still has some water in it. It rained not too long ago, last week, and I can feel that it's still moist from that. So I'm not going to water this for quite a while in this winter time. In the summertime, depending upon the heat and the dryness, and if we have monsoons or not and rain, I will probably water this once a week, 7 to 10 days, you know, but always checking to see if it actually needs water. You know, I can give you a schedule, you know, every 7 to 10 days, every 14 days. But again, I always check to make sure that that plant does actually need the water on that scheduled day. Okay, because sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, I don't give it the water and I move on. Now this one is on a shelf out there, on a bottom shelf where it doesn't get any direct sun. It likes bright light, but direct sun, morning sunlight it can take. Here in Arizona, zone 9 where I'm at, direct sunlight afternoon will probably fry it like it did most of my succulents this past summer. So you want to be careful on the lighting, but this can be kept inside too if you have a very bright window like the east facing window here, or a grow light too. And that's the Mammillaria Copper King that I have there. Now the next one that I have here is my Euphorbia Trigona. And if you've been with my channel a while, you know this one, and you probably are thinking, didn't she have 3 stalks in that container? And I did. I mentioned to you that it rained about a week or so ago, 7 to 10 days ago. And, you know, I let my plants get the rainwater because rainwater is the best water for them. And they all did fine. And then yesterday when I was collecting plants to bring inside for this video, I noticed the 3rd stalk on this one, the coloring was way off. I could see immediately that particular stalk was rotted rather. And this one was starting to get it. So I brought it inside, took them all out, inspected them. That 3rd one was too far gone to save. This one, it was just starting to move up, so I cut it, let it callus over, put a little, the next day put a little bit of rooting hormone on the bottom, a little powder, and plopped it in here. I'm not going to water this for quite a while, probably 2 weeks at least, but it will reroot itself. So my point is, in that long story, is that even if you have them outside like I do these, and I let them get some rainwater, which is wonderful for them, make sure that you check them as far as, are they getting too much rainwater? Do I need to pull them in underneath the balcony and get them out of the rain? Had I done that with this one, you know, maybe I could have saved it, but fortunately, this was the only one that suffered that type of demise. But it's not my first that's gone to too much rainwater. So it's hard to judge sometimes, but it's something to be on the lookout for. As you know, you can overwater a plant by your own hand, you know, putting water in it, but it can also happen to you with rainwater if you leave it outside in an area where it's getting too much rainwater. Okay, but this one is a great succulent. Euphorbias are not cacti. This is a great succulent to have because they are very good growers. They are very hardy. I'm not worried at all about this one rerooting and taking hold in that soil and growing. And you know, it will get this nice pink tinge that you see there as far as it's growing. It's a little bit cold stressed too. Now, the one thing about euphorbias that you do need to be careful of, you may have heard this before, but for the beginners, when I did cut this, I was very careful not to touch the milky sap that oozes out of it because it can be irritating to your skin. Sometimes, you know, I wear gloves even when I handle these, but don't touch the sap. Definitely if it gets on your hands, wash it off. Don't touch your face, your eyes, your mouth, because it can be very, very irritating. And you just don't want to get it on you to irritate your skin too. Okay, but the Euphorbia Trigona is a wonderful succulent if you like plants that kind of grow in a up like this, like cactus. But these are not cactus, these are succulents, okay? Now, you know I couldn't do this video without including some kind of aloe. And I could have included my aloe vera outside and my little frog that you've probably seen before. And that is a very good succulent to start off with, the aloe vera. But there are so many other aloes out there that are very hardy and very easy to start off with, and very readily available at all big box stores. As a matter of fact, I got this one right here at Home Depot, and this is the aloe vera Starry Night. And it gets that name because of the white dots on there that look like stars. Now this one already came with a pup, but you can see it's growing also. I do have this one outside. All of these plants are hardy down to about 40 degrees, some even lower than that. But here, when we do get a frost alert, which we have one coming up in the coming week, there's going to be about 3 nights that are going to be down to 34 and 35. I do have my bed sheets, my old bed sheets that I put over my plants out there to protect them from any frost or freeze damage. And I do that with all of my aloes and other tender succulents that I may have out there, echeverias and stuff. Some of them I do bring inside of the really soft tender succulents, but like the aloes and my cacti and such, I do leave out there, cover them up when it gets down anything 35 or below. I will cover them up. Otherwise, 40 degrees, 39 degrees, they're out there and they fend for themselves and they do wonderful. Okay, so this is the Aloe Starry Night. Beautiful, beautiful aloe. But like I said, it's not just aloe vera that is a great succulent aloe to grow. There are many other ones that you can grow that are available at big box stores. Now the next couple of plants I'm going to show you are outside, so I'm going to take you outside and show you those that I think are going to be wonderful for you. So let's go outside. Okay, so we're right outside our door. There's Rosie watching me. And this one here is actually the 2 succulents that I want to show you. Let's start off at the bottom here. This is the Portulacaria Afra, or elephant bush, and I have it here draping out of this terracotta pot. I have one also on my balcony that I'll show you that is in a hanging basket, or a hanging macrame hanger. And it does wonderful out here. This one I actually don't cover because it's tucked away back in this corner under the eave and everything, so it does great. I water this right now probably about once a month. If I remember, I'll put it out in rainwater, but most of the time I forget. And this is such a profuse grower. Look at that. It is getting down into touching the ground there. I've had this here for about 2 years since I've been living in this apartment, and I'm going to need to cut it and propagate it. These are super easy to propagate. Just cut them and pop them into a dry soil in a pot and they will grow. The one above it is the pencil cactus, or sticks on fire, and this is a euphorbia also. So again, you do need to be careful if cutting of the milky sap that's on it. But this, I think, together makes a wonderful combination or arrangement. And this one here can be grown inside. It won't get these yellow coloring on it. This is from the early morning sun that it's getting this yellowing. Rosie, where do you think you're going? You stay here. But it will be all green and it can grow profusely. I mean, look at the stalk on this already. And this was a little one too. This was a cutting. And it was just a little one. Rosie. So these 2, the pencil cactus or sticks on fire euphorbia and the Portulacaria Afra, are 2 great succulents to have in your collection. So we're back inside now, and I just realized that's only 9. I'm missing one, aren't I? If I said 10. Now, I know string of type of succulents are very popular right now. String of pearls, string of bananas, string of dolphins, which can be very tricky. So I do want to include a string of plant succulent that I find is a little bit easier than the other ones. And that is, I have it right here, my string of my string of bananas that I have growing right here. And that one I've had for about 3 years now. Most of the time it's spent outside in my balcony garden. I did bring it inside this summer because we were having such a harsh summer as far as heat that it was really just baking a lot of my succulents. So I did bring that one inside, and I'm letting it overwinter inside. In the spring I'll take it out for a little while out into the balcony, and depending upon how the summer is, I may leave it out there. But the string of bananas is probably the easier one. String of fish hooks is its brother, that the leaves are a little bit longer. That's another really easy one too, and it looks very similar to this, but like I said, the leaves are just a little bit longer. They look like fish hooks instead of bananas, so those are easier to take care of. This one here I do have in the Tanks Green Stuff Cacti and Succulent mix, and I only water that when it's completely dry, and it seems to be loving it here in this east facing window, getting right now, since the sun is so further south, it just gets bright light. But in the summertime when the sun is further in, if I do leave it here, it would get a little bit of morning sun is all it would get, and I'll do fine with that. So that one is my last one as far as easy succulent and cacti to start off with. And I hope that you are not intimidated by cacti and succulents. They can be easy to take care of. I would say the number one issue that you do want to avoid if you want to keep them alive is overwatering. They don't take as much water as we really think that they need. So if you're not quite sure as far as putting your finger down in there and seeing, oh, I don't know if it feels dry, I don't know if it feels heavy, get a moisture meter and put it down in there and see if it does read in the red section of 1 to 3. If it does, then it's good to go ahead and water, let the water drain all the way through, and then wait till it dries out again. Okay, so I hope that those plants are an inspiration to you to go ahead and start off on some succulents and cacti. If you really enjoyed this video, I think you're really going to enjoy my aloe video. I go over all of my aloes. I'm going to leave that right up here so you can take a look at that one and get a little bit more inspiration on what plants to put into your collection. Thanks so much, friends, for joining me today. Have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video. See you over in that aloe video, okay? Bye-bye.